Alright, what is going on YouTube? Running Gun Sports back with another video. Today is our college football weekly news update. A lot of recruiting news from this week. Action-packed video. And share this to your friends who love college football. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Leave a like, maybe a comment down below. And let's get right into the video. Jaden Gold announces top 6 schools. He's a 6'2", 190-pound corner from Bergen Catholic High School in Oradell, New Jersey. His top 6 schools are Notre Dame, Penn State, Rutgers, Clemson, USC, and Michigan. 4-star cornerback from Katy, Texas, Bobby Taylor commits to Texas A&M. With that commit, Texas A&M in the 2022 class rankings jumps from number 8 in the country to number 4 in the class of 2022 rankings. Jimbo Fisher, one of the more effective recruiters, he's been around for a minute, got a good following. Texas has got a good amount of talent from that area, and it's great for Jimbo Fisher to be picking those guys up right out of his backyard. Really, he can get anyone he wants. He's very effective at recruiting. He's produced many great quarterbacks, Jameis Winston, and good to see he's still continuing the trend of great players coming through his schools. Arizona State lands 3-star all-purpose running back Jonah Coleman from Stockton, California. Ty Simpson, 5-star quarterback, class of 2022, 6'2", 185 pounds from Martin, Tennessee, commits to Alabama. He's labeled as a pocket passer, but if you watch his highlights, he moves a lot more than a regular pocket passer would. He can move around. He's got a cannon for an arm. It would be great to see Alabama right now. About 3 quarterbacks in contention. Jalen Milroe, who they just signed this year from Texas. Bryce Young, obviously the coveted commit from Mater Dei High School in Santa Ana, California in 2020. He got some mop-up time last year, threw a touchdown pass, and you have Paul Tyson, Bear Bryant, the coaching legend at the University of Alabama, 6 national titles, just one behind Nick Saban, and he's Paul Bear Bryant's grandson, so we'll see who starts at quarterback. This year is a video of Paul Tyson working out with Slade Bolden, returning player from Alabama in the championship team last year, had a touchdown in that game, working out, and he looked really good. I think it'll be interesting to see, but I do think they will go with Bryce Young. He came in, backed up Mac Jones for this year, obviously. Did get a pretty good amount of playing time the way that Alabama beat everyone so badly this year, and he did get in the national championship, which is pretty cool. I don't know how many guys are being recruited as a freshman and getting to play in the national championship and winning the national championship in their first year. Obviously, he did not play any meaningful snaps, but still pretty cool considering he's only 19, 18 years old. Ali Kahu is leaving the University of Alabama. He's transferring to Utah. He was a backup player. He was the number 1 linebacker of the 2018 recruiting class. In 2020, he had 31 tackles and 1 fumble. Leaving the university due to playing time, did not play much. His impact was mostly on special teams. So, won the national championship with this team. So we'll see what he can do at Utah. 4-star running back from El Campo, Texas, Ruben Owens II commits to Texas. Chooses Texas over Oklahoma. In his junior and senior year, had 2,300 yards, 30 touchdowns. In 2020, he was named the District 12-4A Offensive MVP. A pretty good stat right there. Steve Sarkisian, obviously, still recruiting very well. It's why Alabama was so successful in their years while he was there, and obviously he's one of the great recruiters around in college football. Now that he's the head coach of the team, we'll see how good he really is at recruiting, how well he can put a coaching staff together. He's grabbed a lot of guys from Alabama, brought them over to Texas with him. He's making a ton of money, as he should be. The Alabama offense last year was absolutely unstoppable, and a good reason he is the Texas head coach, and I think he will get that program to be a national championship contending team. 4-star athlete Larry Turner Gooden commits to Arizona State. He's the 4th highest Arizona State commit of all time. Jacoby Matthews, a 5-star athlete out of Louisiana, announces top 6 schools: Alabama, Florida, Oklahoma, Texas, Mississippi State, and LSU. Right now he's playing safety and quarterback. The experts have him playing at safety for when he does get to the college level wherever he does end up going out of those top 6 schools: Alabama, Florida, Oklahoma, Texas, Mississippi State, and LSU. Keontae Gooden announces top 13 schools out of 67 Division I offers: Michigan, Michigan State, Indiana, Ohio State, Arizona State, Miami, and Oregon. USC, Alabama, Kentucky, Florida State, and Louisville. Clemson. Bryce Anderson from Beaumont, Texas, announces top 5 schools: Michigan, USC, Texas, Texas A&M, LSU. He's a 4-star safety, obviously, I just said, out of Texas. See where he lands there. 5-star offensive guard Devon Campbell out of Arlington, Texas, announces top 7 schools: USC, Texas, Florida State, Bama, Oklahoma, and Houston. Keon Graves, 4-star wide receiver, number 2 player in the country, commits to Ohio State. Ohio State has been recruiting a ton of good young receivers. Last year they brought in G. Scott Jr. and Jackson Smith-Njigba. They both were freshmen last year, so they did not see the field very much, but they did get some very good time in the regular season throughout, and they'll develop to be really good receivers. Jackson Smith-Njigba had a very great catch in the back of the end zone, if you remember, as a freshman, making a good play. And this year they're bringing in Emeka Ukube from Steilacoom, Washington, number 1 receiver in the country. So Ryan Day is still recruiting very well after a tough national championship loss to Alabama. Will Johnson commits to Michigan. We talked about this last week. His top 3 schools were Ohio State and USC, and obviously Michigan. He landed at Michigan, a 5-star cornerback. His dad played college football at Michigan as well, so not really a shocker there. 4-star pro-style quarterback Sam Holton commits to Missouri. He will also be playing baseball at Missouri. He is 6'4", 190 pounds, from the state of Georgia. Gentry Williams, 5-star athlete, is down to his final 6 schools in his recruitment process: USC, Missouri, LSU, Arkansas, Florida, and Oklahoma. Former Oregon quarterback Tyler Shaw lands at Texas Tech after transferring out of Oregon as a graduate transfer in 2020. He had 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this transfer. I think that Tyler Shaw is not very good. He was kind of the reason Oregon lost some games that they should have won this year. Cal and Oregon State, those are very winnable games for Mario Cristobal. I don't really believe in Mario Cristobal as a head coach. I think he's made some terrible play calls in his coaching career, and it's lost him some games, and it's evident that he's not as good as a coach as some might think he is. I don't believe in him as much, but Tyler Shaw will not fit good at Texas Tech. In a league that you rely on your offense to put up 40 points a game, which is the Big 12, Tyler Shaw does not fit in there. Auburn was the talk that he might land there, and that did not happen. And I just don't see him fitting in a game where he can throw the ball that many times a game and try and put 40, 50, 30 points up on the board per game. And obviously 13 touchdowns to 6 interceptions is not a very good ratio. I just don't think it's going to be a good fit. Michigan and Northwestern will be annually playing for the George Jewett Trophy, a new rivalry that was announced this week. So that will be interesting to see. I think Michigan will win most of those games. Northwestern this year was ranked early on until they were upset by Michigan State, and I just think that Northwestern's a little overhyped, but I think Michigan will probably win a lot of those games. Just in these next 5 years outlook, I think Michigan will win at least 3 out of those 5 games, and because their recruiting is just so strong right now, and surprisingly Harbaugh will be back, which really shocks me, really. EA Sports is considering adding FCS teams to the next NCAA football video game, and I play NCAA football, or NCAA 14 to this day. I've been playing it forever. It's a great game. It's just a little old, obviously. Came out in 2013, but I think that they should add FCS teams. I think it'd be pretty cool to play with your hometown school, and I think it would be nice for those players to get some recognition that they don't normally get because they're not playing at the FBS level. I think that'd be good and fun for people to play as their favorite teams. With the NCAA releasing the NCAA football video game, there's teams that are not in agreement in the video game, not signed with EA Sports Electronic Arts, who produces the video game. Those teams are Air Force, Arizona State, Army, Clemson, Georgia State, Kentucky, Navy, New Mexico, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, Troy, and USC. All of those teams are, in fact, in the latest version of the game, 2013. So it'd be quite interesting, honestly, to see if they do make a deal. I think a lot of it is they want their players to be paid off that. I'm not. I don't really necessarily agree that players should just be paid like NFL players. I mean, it's college football for a reason, but it kind of takes the integrity of the game away, and there's a sacrifice you have to make if you want to make it to the NFL, and I think not getting paid while you're in college is the sacrifice to be made. Now, I do think that players should be able to be paid for autographs and stuff like that. Some of those rules I do agree are a little harsh, but I don't think they should be paid for being in a video game, because I just don't necessarily agree with that. But that's my opinion. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on that and think that players should be paid, and I can also see where that's coming from. But I also would say that paying players and putting a lot of money in their face will kind of take their eye off the ball a bit and take a lot of the quality of college football out of it, and it won't be as competitive because players are just going to get paid and they're going to be content with getting paid. Former star tight end for LSU, Eric Gilbert, entering the transfer portal again. He transferred to Florida, then decommitted to the University of Florida, which turned out that he was never enrolled at the University of Florida. Since then, has come out that there has been some academics and off-field issues for Eric Gilbert. The University of Florida, he was the number 2 player in the country a few years back coming out of high school. Alabama is in contact with them. It would be a big pickup for them. The rich get richer, am I right? But that's unfortunate for the Florida Gators to lose Eric Gilbert. And Eric Gilbert did come out and say when he transferred to Florida that Kyle Pitts, the star tight end who will be in the NFL draft this year and probably go in the first 20 picks or so, was a big part of his recruiting. And Dan Mullen lost a big guy right there. Also, Florida did lose another player to the transfer portal this year, and they've had a couple of decommitments as well, so not very good offseason for Dan Mullen. All ACC cornerback Darion Kendrick to transfer from Clemson instead of declaring for the NFL draft. Decent loss there for Dabo Swinney, clearly. Obviously, Dabo Swinney's recruiting fine, but that guy has experience, Darion Kendrick, and in all ACC, he's a stud. Can't really be losing those players, and I know Dabo Swinney's recruiting guys left and right with equal talent, maybe better, but experience matters a lot in the college football level. We saw last year Alabama, who won the national championship, their defense was young. Obviously, they have talent. They're great talent. Maybe some of the best football players in the entire country as far as defensive players, but they were just young and unexperienced. And when they're going up against Justin Fields, who's been around for a while, and other players who know what they're doing, it's a big mismatch as far as experience. That is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like down below. Thanks.